Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. Book summary. Have you ever wondered what it really takes to live a creative life? Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic is a guide to unlocking the magic of creativity by facing fear, embracing curiosity, and trusting the mysterious forces of inspiration. The book is divided into 6 parts: Courage, Enchantment, Permission, Persistence, Trust, and Divinity. Let's explore them one by one, with lessons and stories that can inspire your own journey. Part 1. And Courage. Every creative journey begins with courage. Elizabeth says that fear will always be present whenever we try something new. Think about it every time you wanted to start a project, write a story, or try something artistic. Didn't fear show up immediately? Fear whispers, what if you fail? What if you embarrass yourself? What if you're not good enough? But creativity asks a different set of questions. What if this excites you? What if this makes you come alive? What if this changes your life in ways you can't imagine? Elizabeth reminds us that fear never disappears. The trick isn't it, banish it, because that's impossible. It's to carry on alongside it. She uses a driving metaphor. Fear can be in the car, but it doesn't get to drive, and it certainly doesn't get to touch the map. Creativity is in the front seat. Courage is the one holding the wheel. The lesson here is simple. It is normal, but don't let it run your life. Courage is not about being fearless. It's about moving forward even with fear sitting quietly beside you. Part 2. Enchantment. Creativity, Elizabeth says, is magical. She believes that ideas are alive, like invisible energy forms floating around us. They move through the world, searching for human partners who are willing to bring them to life. She tells a fascinating story. Elizabeth once had an idea for a novel set in the Amazon jungle. She started working on it, but eventually set it aside. A few years later, she met another writer, Anne Patchett, who had independently started writing a very similar story, same setting, same themes. Elizabeth hadn't shared the idea with her, but somehow it had moved to Anne, who was ready to work with it. This may sound mystical, but haven't you had a similar experience? You think of an idea, you ignore it, and later, someone else brings it into reality. That's enchantment at work. Inspiration is a guest. You can welcome it, or it will leave to find another host. The lesson here is, when inspiration comes knocking, don't ignore it. Start working, even if imperfectly. Magic doesn't wait forever. Part 3. Permission. One of the biggest blocks to creativity is the feeling that we need permission. Many people believe they aren't qualified to create because they aren't professionals or because no one has recognized their talent. Elizabeth strongly disagrees. She says you don't need a certificate, a degree, or approval from the world to be creative. You don't need to justify your creativity to anyone. You don't even have to turn it into something useful or profitable. She shares how she wrote her first books while working other jobs, never waiting for someone to tell her she was allowed to be a writer. She gave herself permission to write simply because it mattered to her. And that's the message here. You are free to paint, write, sing, dance, or build simply because it brings you joy. Art doesn't have to change the world. It just has to change you. The only permission slip you need is the one you write for yourself. Part 4. Persistence. Now, here's where many people struggle. Creativity isn't just about having ideas, it's about sticking with them. Elizabeth says that persistence matters far more than talent. Think about it. How many people start a project with excitement, but give up when it gets hard, or when it doesn't look perfect? That's where persistence makes the difference. Elizabeth explains that you will face rejection. You will have days where nothing flows. You will doubt yourself, but the key is to keep going anyway. She also talks about perfectionism, the great enemy of creativity. Many of us refuse to finish projects because we're waiting for them to be flawless. But perfection is an illusion. Done is always better than perfect. Every finished project is a stepping stone to something better. Elizabeth herself has faced rejection many times, but she kept writing, kept submitting, and kept creating. And that's why she succeeded, not because she was fearless, but because she was persistent. Part 5. Trust. Elizabeth reminds us that creativity should be joyful, not painful. Too often, we hear stories of artists who suffer, believing that real art comes only from struggle. But she flips that idea around. She says, creativity is not meant to be torture, it's meant to be play. When you approach creativity with lightness, curiosity, and joy, it becomes a source of energy instead of stress. She encourages us to treat creativity as a relationship. Don't demand too much from it. Don't pressure it to pay your bills. Don't resent it when inspiration is slow. Instead, nurture it, respect it, and enjoy it. Trust that creativity will guide you. Trust that inspiration will come back, even after a dry spell. Trust that the process matters more than the outcome. When you treat creativity as a gift rather than a burden, you'll find that it gives you far more in return. Part 6. Divinity. Finally, Elizabeth takes creativity to a deeper level. She believes that inspiration is a form of divine energy, a mysterious force larger than ourselves. When we create, we connect to this universal flow of life and spirit. For her, creativity isn't just about art or work, it's about living fully, by making things, by expressing ourselves, by daring to share our unique gifts. We honor the divine spark that exists within us. She reminds us that creativity isn't about fame, money, or recognition. Those things may come, or they may not. But the real reward of creativity is the act itself. It's the feeling of being alive, of touching magic, of co-creating with something greater than ourselves. Big Magic is an invitation to live with courage, to welcome enchantment, to grant yourself permission, to persist through challenges, to trust the process, and to embrace the divinity of creativity. So, what creative spark have you been ignoring? Maybe it's a book you've wanted to write, a song you've wanted to sing, a painting you've wanted to finish, or even a business idea you've been holding back. Whatever it is, don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait for permission. And don't let fear drive. Take one small step today. Pick up the pen, grab the brush, start the idea, and let your curiosity lead the way. Because creativity is waiting, and so is your big magic.